All right. Okay. So, all right. Listen up. I don't like talking about this. I don't like talking about this. Uh, when you're online, when you're when you're interacting with the social webs, you're interacting with the world as as it is done in within the last 5 to years to a decade now. You know, in the internet, in the in the interwebs, right? Social medias. We're living in a time, guys, where we have we have been oh Father, we have been programmed, we have been indoctrinated to a degree. We no longer have to go we no longer have to go to institutions or be part of clubs or go to a church. It's right here in this device that you're currently watching me on. Okay? You have your social media accounts, your Instagram and your Facebooks and your TikToks and your whatever the bird thing is called now, X, and you have all the media stuff. Okay, they brought they brought the programming and the indoctrination right at your living room, right in wherever it is that you're at. Heck, I find myself taking a crap with my phone in my hand. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, I know you do because you do the same thing, more than likely. um, we have been domesticated and we have been programmed. It should be the word. We have been programmed and we have been heavily indoctrinated to accept their their forms of control. Some way, high level of digital technology is here, and we don't have to get into specifics of how that happened, but it is here. And even though a lot of us had a gut feeling about things moving a little too fast, heck, I remember the first time, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I don't remember when, I I opened a page of TikTok, and it was a bombardment of information like I had never seen before. And I already had an Instagram page, and I told my wife, like, I can't I and I quickly, like, just turned that off. I didn't go on that. I To this day I really don't partake on that, even though I have a couple of accounts for purposes of spreading positive and beyond positive, spreading the correct frequencies and informations as I so believe to be given to me by the Father, by the Creator, right? So that's the main reason why. But I'm not on Facebook, or I'm not on TikTok 24/7, or like a lot of folks are nowadays. If anything, my biggest my biggest go-to for a lot of things has been Instagram when it comes to the social webs. Okay, I'm being real here. Okay, I'm being a real person here. I'm talking to you. I'm not an alien from outer space. I'm not Superman. I am. I'm being a real person. All right, telling you these things, and and the Father shows me a lot of stuff. You know, and we have seen, we have witnessed, we have experienced, whether we understand it or not, and which is why I'm here talking about this right now. We don't comprehend the level of indoctrination and programming that they have submitted us to through these uh, high levels of technology that they have pushed on us so rapidly. We didn't ask for it. We didn't have a say so or a vote in it. They just kind of pushed it and put it right in our lap, and we just accepted it. We have accepted now within the last couple of years, last few years or so, this oxymoron of quote unquote AI, artificial intelligence, as we know it to be, which I know that it's far more than that. But as we understand it to be, in the label that they gave us for us to understand, what it is, and they call it AI, artificial intelligence, and we have became very comfortable, and I say we in a very broad sense, okay, us as mankind, we have accepted and gotten very, very comfortable. I know that there's a lot of us that don't believe. I know that there's folks that may be watching me that don't, that you know where I'm at, and we know where we're at, but in the general sense, we have accepted as mankind in the process of that programming, we have accepted this AI, this high level of technology that's been pushed and forced down our throats, and now we have become complacent, okay, to the point that we see all these AI generated, quote unquote generated video, which apparently anybody now can make, right? And we think that anybody and just anybody and nobody is making these AI generated videos. This is where I'm going at. And a lot of them are very emotionally driven, because that's the game. That's the name of the game. The name of the game is to get us emotionally involved, for us to get a reaction out of us, so that we make an action out of that reaction. You understand what I'm saying? So I hate talking about, I don't want to talk about the P word that ends in ticks. I don't want to make this channel about that. I don't believe that the Father's purpose of me coming on here is not about giving light to that, because that is just one branch of a very big sick tree that is all rooted in the spiritual realm, okay, which affects us, and a lot of us are blind to the reality of, okay. So that is the main focus. The main focus is to bring light in this, and spark a flame of discernment, only solely guided through the Holy Spirit, for us to see the big picture, for everyone to see the big picture. That is what the Father put in my heart. So I don't want to glorify or give any kind of power to anything related with that word that starts with a P and ends in ticks, okay? That's why I won't even pronounce the whole word, okay? So, but it's a very, very, very strong demonstrated part of our reality right now. So I felt the need to come here to tell you guys what I see. What I see is that these are not random videos that you are watching to create an emotional reaction out of you. These are not, why are they showing us now that for eons, for decades upon decades, they have been doing the things that are in those files that they are showing us as quote unquote truth? Why are they doing that? Why do they choose to do that now? Because they are so good and they care so much about our well-being. Come on, guys, because they had no other choice. Come on, guys. They're doing that on purpose. That is a very, and that's the thing. We are so heavily indoctrinated and programmed that we eat it right up. Oh, they gave us the files. Finally. We asked so much for why won't they release the files? Why won't they release the files? We got them right when we want them, guys. Release the files. Hook them. And now we're hooked. Now we're there, where we know what's in those files now. We got it. They gave it to us. Oh, everybody's in on it. Oh, now next phase of of the situation, of their plan, their grand master plan, right? Is invoking that emotional response in us because we've seen what's in those files, right? Listen, I know. Just stay with me here. I understand. Doing what has been done and the information in those files, it's very, very bad. I know. Follow me here. Okay? So we're there now, and now we are feeling some type of way about it. Our hearts are getting filled with rage and anger and all kinds of low vibrational frequencies, all kinds of low vibing feelings. Dare I say, we are opening doors and leading the way for the wrong spirits in the Father's temple. Are you following me? Okay. Part of the plan is to get you to react in a way that will put you in the correct state of mind, state of perception, for you to be manipulated and utilized for their demise and for your own destruction. They're leading you right into their trap. You understand? You think that those videos that they're showing you on their interwebs and all your favorite sources of media are not designed, and there I say, have a team. They have a team of individuals. They might not even be individuals as we know them to be, of flesh and bone. These may be entities themselves utilizing technology. Are you following me here? The point that I'm trying to make is that these videos evoking these emotions in you, trying to get you to respond, because at this point we don't even care if it makes us feel some type of way, because what we feel in our heart is being said is truth. And they'll give us this AI generated, these robot videos, but because what they're saying evokes that emotion, we have turned the blindfolds on and we'll take it right in. We don't even question these robot videos anymore. We take them right in like if it's real life. We don't even question it anymore. Are you paying attention? They want a real flesh of sin reaction out of you. At the end of the day, you can kill the flesh all you want. You can kill the host all you want. All you're doing is hurting the creation. You are not hurting. You are not hurting the entity that has embodied, that has housed that host. That entity will carry on, because our battle is not against flesh and blood. We will only destroy ourselves and lead ourselves into their trap. You understand what I'm saying? If you raise up in arms, if you raise up in arms against pigskins, against flesh, you will fail, because that is their plan. Now, what's going to happen is going to happen. What's going to happen is going to happen. But you will lead yourself and those that are with you there first in their trap, by believing that you are doing something to combat it. Do you understand? It's written. It's already in the text. What's going to happen is going to happen. In the book of Exodus, in the book of Exodus, okay? Quick summary. I'm not gonna, you know, the father's people were enslaved by Pharaoh, by the Egyptians, right? You know, the Babylonian time kingdom of their time, right? You know the thing, you know the story, right? Whatever. The devil system of that time. Okay, the father's people, the actual flesh and blood uh, of the Adamic creation, father's creation was enslaved by the devil's kingdom at that time, right? And then one is born, right? The devil fearing, obviously, again, not flesh and blood, but the devil, even though it's questionable whether Pharaoh was an actual full-bred human being, but we're not going to get into that. You know, Pharaoh gets the word that a deliverer may be coming forth, right? The devil whispers in his ear and gets his prophecy or whatever you want to call it, and he goes off to kill. He goes off to kill all of the 2-year-olds and below, right? You know the story. So Moses gets spared because Moses was the guy. Moses was the dude that the father appointed, right? Before birth, right? We know before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. He was a chosen elect from the Father, from the Creator. So he's spared. Ends up in being raised by Pharaoh. It lands in, you know, the whole river thing. Ends up in Pharaoh's house, being raised like as one of them, with special favor. He doesn't know he's an adopted child, right? He doesn't know that where he came from until he does, until it's time for his purpose to begin, and for the action of his purpose to begin, right? And the father reveals to him the things that he doesn't know, and the story starts to tumble from there. He leaves. He kills that Egyptian. You know, he reacts to the situation. He leaves. He ends up coming back with strict commands from the father to basically tell Pharaoh to let his people go. Okay, in that story, okay, Moses obviously being an archetype of Jesus again, which I believe he was definitely functioning through the Christ Spirit at that time. Again, we don't have to get into all of that some other time, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. He was an archetype of the Messiah. He was a deliverer of sorts. All glory goes to the Father, right? So in one of those let my people go Moses moments, okay, in the book, the word, and look it up. I don't have the verse right now at hand, but one of those moments, the text specifies that God, Yah, okay, Elohim, the Creator, the number one El, he basically specifies that the Father hardened Pharaoh's heart. And when I saw that, it hit me. It hit me because it was a very, very powerful revelation. It was a very powerful revelation for me. Come on, lady. Come on. Stop being cute. I'm trying to talk to the people here. The fact that God, Yah, the Creator, hardened Pharaoh's heart. It's there. It's in the book. It told me a lot of things. It told me that the Father had already made up his mind about the wheats and the tares. Remember? Not flesh and blood. The Father had already made up his mind on the outcome of that situation. And the Pharaoh side wasn't going to make it. Okay? Now, I don't want to get into crazy details of whether that applies in the physical realm or only in the heavenly realm. You know, are obviously, of course, we know that all of this is to seal our eternal fate. All this is to seal our eternity next to our Creator, of course. How we're going to pass the rest of the physical days here, I don't know. And I don't think you know. And anybody that claims to know, question that. Okay? Because it's not about that. The bottom line is the bottom line. We serve the Father through and through. Whether our flesh is ripped off our bones or not. Okay? Okay. So the moment that I read that, I stayed on that for a good while. I mean, for a while, like several years. That would linger in my head, and I would continue to get more and more revelation on that. The Father God hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he still took Moses through the motions, through the process of showing him the miracles and showing him his power that he had delivered, that he had granted Moses to manifest in the midst of Pharaoh's, of the devil's magic, right? We see all of that, right? The point I'm trying to make, guys, is that right now what we need to do is, I know it's terrible. I know the terrible things that you have read and believe at this point. I know, because I feel it. I feel it too. Okay? I feel it too. And if I was a day short in my understanding and revelation with the Father, this will be a different video. You understand what I'm saying? But I can't come here and not tell you the truth, because I'm before my Father in heaven. And this is the only and solely purpose for me coming on these videos. If you raise up, you're going to be walking into a trap. I don't know how else to say that. And pass this on to whoever you got to pass it on. I have no hate in my heart towards anybody. I feel no hate in my heart towards anybody. I keep my distance from certain individuals because that's just what the times call for. Because the fact of the matter is that there's certain dark rooms that light just doesn't fit in. The Father doesn't force his light upon anybody. And that's fine. Jesus loved Judas. He picked him. Judas had great purpose. Okay? No matter what his outcome was, Judas had great purpose. And Jesus picked him exactly for that. Jesus also told Pilate, "You have no power over me other than that has been given to you from above." He willingly laid down his life. Okay? We need to learn. We need to get down. We need to drop all of our indoctrinations and get down at the feet of our Messiah, the blueprint that leads us back to our Creator, and knock off all the nonsense that we have learned from since we were children. All the nonsense that has been freaking mushed into us. And we need to give it all the things we don't. If it causes you confusion, you need to bring it to the feet of the Father. But if something is clicking in there, and you don't understand it, but something is clicking in there, you also need to bring it to the Father. Ask the Father to reveal to you what his will and purpose is, according to how you take a play in all of that. Ask him what your purpose is, what your play is. If you so-called yourself to be in the winning team, because we already know how the end of the story goes. Be very careful. Be very careful. And I'm not condemning anybody here. I'm not talking bad about anyone, but there's men. And there's these one men, and these one men that I've been talking about. They have a lot of influence, and at any given moment they can raise up a large group of individuals for right or wrong, for good or evil. Be very careful you don't land in that group that follows another man into perdition, whether that man means good in his heart or not. Because there's men that believe that they're doing right in their heart, but they're too blind because they're too rich of this world. And they had their chance and their time, just like the rich young ruler, walking side by side with the master, and they had their chance. And the master told them what they needed to do, and they denied and walked away because they rather keep the world than keep the master, than stay with the master. Okay? So I said what I said. Go back, listen to it again if you have to. Bless you guys.